Wow. um. Okay.
You got it.
My childhood trauma was that I was molested from the time I was 5.5, almost 6 till I was 12. So it was by a family friend. It was my mom's husband's cousin. So this guy, he was older. So when I first met him, we moved, I was 5, I think 4 or 5. So anyway, like being a kid, you don't really understand what someone is doing to you, especially when they're older. So he would come in the house, everything, and speak and stuff and everything. And it was just how he would touch me that made me uncomfortable. So he would hug me, or he would want me to get in his lap. And my dad always told me you never sit in a man's lap. He never, you know what I'm saying? He wouldn't even he would let me sit on his leg, because it was this little thing that he would do, like bouncing on his leg and singing this little song or whatever that he do. And that was it. But as far as sitting in a man's lap, no. So I would always get up. So as I got older, it was just something is not right. So he would come in the house and he would stand behind me, he would rub on me, he would touch on me. So I knew it was uncomfortable. So I was just like, okay, this is not right. But I still never said anything because I'm a kid, he's older. So I'm thinking, okay, this is right, what he's doing, but it's the wrong feeling. So as time progressed, I have 2 younger brothers, which are Clint and Yadrick, and he would come over. And anytime after that he would come over, I would always make sure that they were in the room with me. I can remember a specific time I was holding Yadrick in my lap, because he was like 4, maybe 5, and I was holding him in my lap. And I was like, okay, they're in the room, and I'm holding him. Maybe he won't touch me this time. He literally picked my brother up and put him down and started touching on me. Like literally. You know what I'm saying? And my brothers are in there, but I don't think they really realize, because they're kids, they're younger. So, I'm just like, stop. And he wouldn't stop because he's older, he's stronger. So, and then I remember another time, I can't remember, we were having something at the house or whatever, and everybody was over there. And he was like, he almost had my clothes off. And somebody walked in and he stopped. And I'm thinking, okay, at this point, this is going to stop. This is going to end. I'm not going to have to keep going through this. You know what I'm saying? And people ask me now, why didn't I tell someone? How do I tell someone? Because in my mind, I felt like if I tell, I'm going to be wrong. Nobody's going to believe me. So the last time I was 12, and I had a friend, she lived next door to me, so it was a bunch of people. So I was like, well, she here, my brother's in here, he not going to do nothing. He come up behind me, and he's standing behind me, and he's like, oh, well, you're this tall now, and I'm this much tall, and he started touching on me. So I was like, oh God, oh God. So then he went to her. He went to my friend, and he did the same exact thing, and she took off running out the house. Like, she ran, and she screaming and everything. So I knew she was going to tell her daddy. So it was like, the way our house, it was like a little ditch, alley, gully. We used to call it our trailer. That was in between our yard and her yard. So we got there, and I'm just calling her name. I'm crying. I'm like, please don't tell, please don't, because I knew if she told, I was going to get in trouble. I just knew if she told. That's just how my mind as a kid, that's how I was. So I'm thinking I'm just going to get in trouble, And so it was like after that, when that happened, it was just like everything faded away, because my mom, we ended up moving and everything, and he didn't come around no more. So I felt like I was free. But a lot of that damaged me as relationship-wise with men. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't let my guard down. I didn't trust men. And I felt like the only way for me to be loved by a man is to be sexual with him. So I couldn't lay in a bed with a man and him not touch me because of that. Okay, so I get older and everything. And like I said, this is affecting me. And so I'm just like, I gotta stop this, because I don't want to be wore out as a woman before I have a husband and my children. So I'm gonna stop having sex. So I meet this guy, and I explained this to him, and I told him, you know what I'm saying, if we can't lay in the bed together without you touching me, I don't want to be with you. Yeah. And he respected it. That was the first man that I ever was able to lay in the bed with, deal with, and he never sexually touched me. I tempted him so much, but he never did.
Now what you would have did? What?
What
you would have did anything if he tempted you?
Yeah, because at this point, I wanted wanted it. Like, you know, I'm a woman, I have needs. So I'm just like,
I'm a woman, I have needs.
Yes, I am trying to tempt him, and he would not. He was like, no.
So that was that
He
respect.
stood, right, he stood his ground. So after that, I was just like, okay, so I'm in the church and I'm learning about God and I'm getting a relationship, and so my pastor spoke a word to me, and he was talking about my childhood trauma and how I needed to heal from it. And I didn't really get it. I did, but I didn't. So it was a couple of weeks later. I'm out seeing my people or whatever. I'm doing my nightly curfew checks and stuff. And my coworker called me. She frantic. She was like, "Where you at? Where you at?" And I was like, "I'm out in the field. Why? What's wrong?" And she was like, "Oh my God, so this has happened. My child's been touched. We're on our way to it's a place, a facility where they take the kids so that they can talk about what's happened and tell them about it." So I was like, "Oh my God, how did you find out?" So she told me at the time her daughter was 4. My niece was 4. She's not literally my niece, but I call her niece. She was 4. And she said she went to pick her up, from the babysitter, and they were outside. She was like, "Mama, my boom boom hurt." And she was like, "What?" And so the babysitter tried to give her this bogus lie. She was like, "No, shut up." So her daughter told her, like, "My boom boom hurt because this is what he done to me." So she basically, at 4 years old, stood up and told her mama that her babysitter's grandson or something like that had what he had done to her. And so I'm crying at this point because I'm like, here I am, 32 years old, and I have not told my mama or anybody that this man was doing this to me. And this 4-year-old child told her mama the same exact day. That baby gave me the push that I needed to go tell.
Yeah.
She did.
So
she
told
did. I did. I was just crying because I was full of emotion. Like, okay, God, I get what you're saying. I'm gonna do it. So it was just like, I'm going to church, and my pastor, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. And here I am thinking, okay, I got time. So one night I was laying on the bed, and I was like, okay, I had just got done praying in the Word. The Spirit was like, now. So I called my mom. Me and her, we cut up, we talk all the time. So I called her, I said, "What you doing?" And she was like, "I'm not doing nothing, gal. Just laying here." So I was like, "Oh, okay."
Gal.
That's what she said. So I said, I need to talk to you about something. And she was like, "Okay." So, I broke down to her, telling her about what happened with my coworker, because she know him and stuff. And she was like, "Oh my God." So I said, "Mom, I gotta tell you something." And she was like, "What? You pregnant?" And I was like, "No." So it was like a pause on the phone, because it was just like, I got this lump in my throat, the tears is rolling down my eyes at this point, because it's just like, how do I tell my mom that her baby was molested all these years and I never said anything? So she was like, "Gal, what is it? What's wrong? Tell me, talk to me." She's trying to get me to tell. So I said, "My mom was molested." And she said, "What? When? How? Who?" And so I started telling her everything. And she was just like, she's crying at this point, because she's like, "Shyunda, where was I at? Why you didn't say something to me?" And I told her, I said, "Mom, because I didn't think." She said, "You my child, I'm going to believe you." She was like, "I would believe." She said, "Oh my, I cannot believe that you felt like I wouldn't believe you, like you couldn't talk to me, like you couldn't tell me." And she's a ball of emotions to know that from the time I was 5 till I was 12, a 7-year period, I was being touched on. So she said, "Well, did he ever penetrate you?" And I said, "No, he almost did." And so she was like, and I told her about the story when I was holding Yadrick and everything, and she was just like, "Where was I at?" I said, "Mama, y'all was always around," because they were in close proximity of us at all times, period. When I was younger, I couldn't go stay at none of my friends' house. She didn't play that. Yeah. I can go to my cousin's family, whatever, but as far as like friends, no, she wasn't having it. And so, I was just a whole ball of emotions to know that I held this for so long, and it had damaged me so bad in every aspect of my life, period.
So if you was to be that 4-year-old that told then, or 12 or 11, how would you think that have affected your life now? I
feel like if I would have spoke up and said something sooner, my relationship with the opposite sex would not have been as bad as it was. I would not have just been, like, because I was the type of person, if I'm coming to you just for sexual reasons, that's all I want. And then when you catch feelings, I'm just going to play that to the left. Yeah. I would not have done that. I finessed and played with so many millions of emotions and feelings because of me being damaged, and I damaged them. And I never want to do that to nobody, because I don't want nobody to do that to me. So
how are your trust issues now?
they're a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Lord.
God.
Thank you, Lord. Now I'm still guarded as far as letting my feelings and my guard down. But when it comes to that, like sexual wise, I'm gonna lay it down flat. If I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
So where's the dude now?
He's dead. He died. I think he passed maybe anywhere between 10 to 15 years ago. Not exact, but he's been dead for a minute.
I think